Good morning. The first time I got homesick at sleepaway camp, my friend told me, if you're homesick at camp, you will definitely be campsick at home. And she was right. All 3 camps I've been to have been life-changing in the best possible way. And that's why, from the day I leave camp, I'm counting down the days until camp starts again. I started day camp when I was 3, with all my friends from preschool. I don't remember much from that first year, but my mom says there was a lot of crying involved. Even though I wasn't the happiest camper, I stuck with it. Every day, I would get up early, find my camp water bottle, and get into the car excited to meet my counselors at the gates. At the end of the day, I waited for my mom while singing camp cheers, my face stained purple from the ices they gave out. Crepe was my favorite flavor. That was the cycle year after year until I became brave enough to sign up for the annual musical. That year, it was Phantom Mouse of the Opera. I was a mouse. We rehearsed late and missed ices, but it was worth it. It was a whirlwind of songs, scenes, hair, costumes, and makeup, and almost overwhelmed 7-year-old me, but I persevered and had so much fun on stage. The next year, we performed Beauty and the Beast, and I sang my way into the part of a silly girl. At 9 years old, the curtain opened, and I stood in front of the audience as a contestant for The Prince's Hand in Marriage in Once Upon a Mattress. For my final camp show, I landed the role of Cinderella's stepsister, ending the show streak with a classic and cementing my love of theater and music. When I was 10, I told my mom I'm never, ever going to sleepaway camp. So naturally, I was pretty reluctant to go on an overnight with my day camp, even after they announced where we were going, Hershey Park. The night before, my mom and I ran around my room packing frantically. When we finally got to camp the next day, I was beginning to get more excited. 5 hours of a non-air-conditioned bus ride later, the excitement faded. As soon as we got there, though, and saw all the chocolate and rides and air-conditioned indoor activities, I thought that maybe this wouldn't be so bad after all. That one sleepover was a turning point for me because I proved to myself that I could be independent and be happy far away from home. When I got back, the first thing I asked my mom was if she had signed me up for sleepaway camp yet. That year, I went to my very first sleepaway camp for 6 days, and I loved it. Eden Village Camp was welcoming from the driveway. There was a big wooden sign that read, "Welcome home," and camp became my home away from home. My camp friends and counselors quickly became a second family. It's so fun to be able to connect with people that you might not normally get to meet and find out more about them. I have had counselors from Israel, Argentina, England, and even Australia. I've also had bunkmates from as far as Singapore and Hawaii. Eden Village is so inclusive and has a deep-root value of community. Also, what makes my camp extra special is the farm and the farm-to-table program. Many times a week, we work on the farm, and later, we pretty much eat what we pick. The food we harvest either goes straight into our mouths or into the kitchen. After I got home from my second year of camp, I had the incredible opportunity to go to space camp at NASA in Cape Canaveral, Florida. My dad and I flew down, not really knowing what was going to happen. When we got to the camp, there were hundreds of kids, all wearing the same blue camp shirt, and I was a little nervous. I said goodbye to my dad and started walking into the seemingly endless mob. Even though I didn't know anyone, the experiments we did were so cool, and the simulators were amazing. We all took turns going on the mat, a machine NASA used to use to train their astronauts. You sit in the machine and it spins you every direction you can think of. Upside down, sideways, it's awesome. The mat moves so fast that the fluids in your inner ear can't settle, so you don't get dizzy. We also grew bean plants using hydroponics and limited materials. I would never have had the courage to go to space camp if I hadn't gone to Eden Village. Going to sleepaway camp proved to myself that I was ready to take on the world and gave me the courage to try bigger and better things. Each camp I've been to has taught me something that has impacted me greatly. Something I learned from Eden Village was the concept of LOMO. How many of you have heard of FOMO? FOMO stands for fear of missing out. When you have FOMO, it feels like what everyone else is doing is better and more fun than what you are, and for me, it can also mean missing out on perfection. Now, how many of you have heard of LOMO? LOMO stands for love of missing out. While no one loves missing out, LOMO means that you trust that you are where you need to be, and that you understand that perfection isn't realistic. Like, remember in second grade when you didn't get invited to that sleepover, so you went to the beach with your family instead, and someone got a new puppy and you got to play with the puppy all day? That's LOMO. Part of the Eden Village mission statement is that we want to promote environmentalism and social justice around the world, and the values they teach at camp have really changed me. I now always look for ways to help the earth or spread awareness about people or cultures that are being discriminated against. This is happening all over the world, and camp has taught me that we are the change. This is why I, along with millions of other people, peacefully marched to protest discrimination against women. It was a life-changing experience for me to see so many people standing up for what they believe in. We marched for a while with people of all ages, ethnicities, and religions, singing songs of joy, not bitterness. Even though this might not have changed anything immediately, it spread awareness throughout the world, and knowledge is power. Eden Village has taught me that we are the ones we've been waiting for, and now is our time to rise. In the end, my camp experiences have made me independent enough to leave home, confident enough to perform on stage, and courageous enough to do this speech. I am camp sick every day, and I can't wait to go back, which is why I know that there are 82 days until camp starts again. Thank you.